Hello and welcome to History of the World by iexplain. Okay, so this is my first video, guys. Um, and you probably know my voice. That's because you probably watch my other channel, iGaming, or maybe some of you come from different realms. I don't think that worked out. But anyway, I'm here to talk about the complete history of the world, starting from. Wait, wait, wait. Where is it? Starting from the Paleozoic era, starting from the Cambrian period. Okay, guys, so the Cambrian period, this is the Cambrian period, as you can see. This was when the Cambrian explosion of life had occurred, causing all sorts of creatures to come and live on planet Earth. But these creatures never accomplished anything, unlike us humans. They just hunted, ate, and slept. Nothing too exciting. This period hosted many bizarre creatures we would call alien-like. In this period, water also covered most of the earth, and it still does to this day. All creatures on earth lived in water at that time. Now, we will be moving on to the 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 Devonian period. This was the era of fish, when they had ruled the world. This was also when some tetrapods, land-dwelling vertebrates, appeared. Some land arthropods also lived during this time. Coral and anemonites also flourished during this period. Now we'll be moving on to the Carboniferous period. This This was a time when most of the Devonian fish had become extinct, and trilobites were flourishing. So, as land invertebrates, such as the famous Arthropleura or the Meganeura, there were also many sorry, shifting continents at the time, which would lead to the birth of Pangaea. Now, the okay, what is it? We'll be moving on to the Permian period. This was when the Pangaean supercontinent formed, and it was the last period of the Paleozoic era. A massive series of volcanic eruptions in modern-day Siberia caused the largest extinction in Earth's history, causing also the end of the Paleozoic era. And now we will move on to everyone's favorite period in prehistory, the Mesozoic era. Okay, wait. The Triassic period in the Mesozoic era. The Triassic period was when the life of the dinosaurs was just beginning. Not only was it for dinosaurs, but other types of reptiles too, such as pterosaurs and plesiosaurs. As you can see here, the long-necked creatures in the water are indeed plesiosaurs. And now we'll be moving on to the Jurassic period. Jurassic period was also known as the Golden Age of Dinosaurs, as the Jurassic was the period of the dinosaurs' reign. Many sauropods, long-necked dinosaurs, were abundant in this time. And Jurassic Park is not actually quite accurate because even though it's called Jurassic, most of the creatures that lived in the Jurassic period did not appear. Most of the creatures in Jurassic Park did not appear until the Cretaceous period, such as Triceratops. And speaking of the Cretaceous period, we're now going to be moving on to the Cretaceous period. And here, as you can see, is a T-Rex and some Parasaurolophus in the background. This was the last period of the Mesozoic era, as it would see the great and famous extinction of the dinosaurs. Most of the well-known dinosaurs lived during this era, such as Tyrannosaurus rex or the Triceratops. I told you, Jurassic Park is wrong. No offense. Now we'll be moving on to to the Cenozoic era. Yippee! This was when Pangaea broke apart, creating the continents we know today. Oceans began to widen, and some animals we know in prehistory were evolving to be more like modern day animals. And you can see here, mammals. And now we'll be moving on to the the Neogene period. As you can see, there are some woolly mammoths. Wait, yes. This was when forests started becoming grasslands. Whales began plentifying in the seas, and sharks achieved their largest size. This was also when the evolution of a new species would occur, a species that would alter the course of history, a species that would leave its mark in this world, a great big mark. These species are humans, our own kind. Now we will be moving on to to the reign of humans. These animals were like none other. They had great brains and created many things that no other creature could create. They built settlements for them to live in, and could kill anything they wanted with their deadly weapons. Farming and agriculture. When the first civilized humans came, they began farming and doing the other agricultural things. They decided to move to farming instead of hunting, so that it would be easier to get food. Okay, now to the next part, which is the invention or maybe the creation of religions. One of the most oldest things in the world are religions. Small tribes would develop their own cults, which is a very small religion that only has a few hundred followers or so. The first major religion to be founded was Hinduism, which was founded in the Indus Valley in India, modern day India. And now we move on to the Sumerian Empire, or the Sumerian civilization. The Sumerian Empire was the first ever civilization to be founded on Earth. It originated in modern day Mesopotamia, which is in the Middle East. They had created the first language in all of human history, which was Sumerian. Unfortunately, the Sumerians no longer exist and died out around 2004 BCE. And now we'll be moving on to the Assyrian Empire. This empire had a very fearsome army, which would torture their enemies very violently. They originated in what is now Iraq and Turkey. The Assyrians first started as a city-state, but soon became an empire. And now, the Babylonians. The Babylonian Empire was the first to take over all of Mesopotamia. They built many great buildings and statues and other artworks. In the Bible, it says that the Babylonian Empire was destroyed by God because it was an evil empire that killed many. Okay, and now the ancient Egyptian Empire, or the Egyptian Empire. Being one of the most famous civilizations today, the Egyptians had built many great things, such as the pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx statue. The Egyptian Empire mostly based itself along the banks of the Nile, which is a key object in Egyptian culture. The Egyptians also slaved many Jewish people, and in the Bible it even says that a half Jew and half Egyptian man named Moses led the Jews out of Egyptian slavery. This is celebrated today as a festival called the Passover. And now we'll be moving on to the Greeks. This empire, or actually no, it's technically called Macedonian Empire because the largest it was Alexander the Great who made the Macedonian Empire, the Great Macedonian Empire. But but it was but there's also Greek civilizations. This empire was one of the most well-known civilizations. It had invented many things that we still use today, such as pancakes and star signs, such as Scorpio or Cancer. Greek mythology is also known very well around the world and includes things like the Minotaur or Zeus the god. The Olympics was also invented in ancient Greece and is now a world sports event. Alexander the Great is also known around the world, and he was even a leader of the Greek or Macedonian Empire. Alright, and now we move on to one of the most well-known empires in the whole world, and it heavily influenced many parts of Europe, the Romans. The Roman Empire was one of the most powerful forces in Europe at the time, and achieved many successes. They conquered nearly half of Europe, parts of North Africa, nearly the entire Middle East, and even parts of Great Britain. The Roman Empire used to believe in many gods and goddesses, but after they invaded Jerusalem, they were astounded by Jesus Christ and Christianity, and that became their major religion ever since. And now, time for the dark ages. The Dark Ages was a time when famine, sickness, and many more plagues were abundant, mostly in Europe. It was caused by a dramatic decrease in temperature, which is known as the Younger Dryas. Other factors also contributed, such as corruption or invasions from kingdoms like the Huns. The infamous Black Death also occurred in this time, killing many people. And now for one of the greatest empires in the world, and one of also my favorite empires, the Mongols. The Mongol Empire was the largest land empire to ever exist and spanned nearly all of Eurasia. It was founded by Genghis Khan or Genghis Khan and reached its peak of power in the 1200s. It was started by Genghis Khan uniting all the Mongol tribes and after deciding to conquer all of Eurasia, as he believed that he was destined for it. After Genghis Khan died, Kublai Khan, his son, took over the empire. But his reign wouldn't last long, as soon. Okay, this part's a bit incorrect. I got this from a book. So actually, it's not Kublai Khan didn't take over the empire. When Genghis Khan died, his sons, or I think sons, which he had four, or grandsons, were already fighting over the empire, and then a civil war broke out, and then it fragmented the empire into four: the Golden Horde, the Ilkhanate, the Changtai or Great Khanate, and the okay, I sort of forgot this one. If the fourth Khanate that the Mongol Empire split into. If any of you know, can you please let me know in the comments? Okay, thank you. And now, moving on to the sorry, the Ottomans. The Ottoman Empire was an empire that started in Turkey. It spread throughout sorry, much of southeastern Europe, the Middle East, northern Africa, and northeastern Africa. It was formed by tribes in Anatolia and became one of the most powerful forces in the Middle East and Europe. The empire was destroyed from many rebellions that occurred, mostly about religion. Alright, next we have the Incas. This was an empire that originated in South America. They were mostly known for living high in the Andes, where not a lot of people could go. They also built a famous site called Machu Picchu. Unfortunately, it was destroyed by the Spanish Empire in 1572. Alright, and now we move on to the Qing Dynasty. The Qing Dynasty was a dynasty that originated in China and lasted from 1644 to 1911. It housed many ethnic groups such as the Hans, Tibetans, and Mongols. It was founded by the Manchu ethnicity. The Qing Dynasty was destroyed by rebellions, the Opium Wars, and the typing uprising. And now, moving on to the Golden Age of Discovery. This was a time when Europeans had massive success exploring the globe and discovering new things. Religion and curiosity were the main reasons that led to this age. This was also when the Americas were just being discovered. And now we move on to the British Empire. This empire had conquered nearly 20% of all the world's land surface. It originally started in Great Britain and expanded through trade. They conquered parts of Africa, South America, North America, India, Southeast Asia, and all of Australia. In the on to the French. This empire was founded by Napoleon Bonaparte in 1804 and conquered much of Europe and other foreign territories. A series of events called the Napoleonic Wars happened, in which many European powers pitted against France. But the French Empire's downfall came when they tried to invade Russia, in which they failed. Alright, and now moving to a very devastating um, part of the human history. World War One. World War One was when many European powers fought against each other around 1914 to 1918. The biggest power at the time was Germany, and was led by the Nazis and their leader Adolf Hitler, who was both in Austria and became a German dictator. He also caused the Holocaust, when thousands of Jews were killed. Okay, please correct me, but I think when Nazi Germany was occupied, I think it was in World War Two, not World War One. Something's wrong, I feel. Or just correct me. But it might be right. Anyways, moving on to World War Two. After World War One ended, a few years later there would be another World War. This time, Japan was the leading power and invaded a lot of countries such as China, Australia, or the USA. At first, Japan had bombed Pearl Harbor in the USA, but then the USA decided to bomb Hiroshima in Japan to bring the war to an end. Oh yeah, just note, the guys, that this does not that this isn't gonna be biased with any political stuff. This is just history, so please don't get mad or offended, okay? Alright, and now moving on to the Cold War. This was when many nations around the world joined either the USA or the Soviet Union in a war. The two had, but the USA and Soviet Union did not battle directly, unlike other wars. This was just a competition between the Soviet Union and USA to see who was better. Some events in this war included the space race, Korean Wars, and the testing of the first nuclear weapon made by the Soviet Union. In the end, the winner was the USA. All right. And now moving to 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 the golden age of technology. This was when new inventions were beginning to take rise, such as cars and smartphones. This was so that our lives would become easier and we wouldn't have to put much effort in doing things anymore. Unfortunately, some of those inventions are not good for the environment, and some say it could lead to an event called climate change, when the Earth's climate drastically changes, killing off a lot of species. And now we'll move on to the possible downfall of humans. As our species becomes more absorbed, we are at risk of ending our own species. Murders, wars, and climate change are very big factors in destroying our own species. If we change our ways, we might just save ourselves. But if we keep going like this, we might be at risk of doom for ourselves. A new species might rise to become dominant, and even if we humans do manage to find another habitable planet, if we overexploit it, just like Earth, then we are also dooming that planet. For anyone, well, actually, never mind. Alright. We have come to the end. This is the end of history for now. More exciting events might happen in the future. Who knows? But for anyone reading this in the future, okay, this book has some um weird stuff in it. They like mention that if anyone's reading this in the future, okay, I'm just gonna say because who knows, YouTube might still be around until the future. But for anyone watching this in the future, as I said in the previous page, if you are self-absorbed and care only for yourselves, then trouble is bound to come to you. Alright, and as Porky Pig says, bleep, 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 that's all, folks. Okay, so just know, okay, please don't get offended because I left out some empires, like small ones, and I didn't complete all the empires that there are in the history of the world, like the Aztec Empire and the Majapahit Empire, which were actually quite really good and great and dominant empires, but left them out for some reason, probably because they weren't a major world power. I just did major world powers, and so yeah. And as I said before, this video isn't for political means or anything. Like for example, just just don't get just don't get offended by what I said maybe about the Cold War or the downfall stuff. This is just history, just explaining history. Okay, guys. Okay. What was it gonna be? All right. That's the end of the video, and see you guys later. And this is my first video on my other channel, iexplain, which I'll be explaining things, real things. And see you.